Good morning, students. Today we are going to see the last subtopic of Unit 3, Important International Adaptation Initiatives and Programs. So far what we have seen, what is the different types of modeling available, hydrological modeling or the climate modeling. Okay, because of that modeling, what are the difficulties in doing a modeling, uncertainties available, how these uncertainties affect the outcome of the modeling, and apart from the modeling uncertainties, what are the other uncertainties which are affecting to predict the exact prediction. Okay, like socio-economic problems and the data insufficient, knowledge gap. Okay, this is all we have seen. So now, what is the role of the United Nations, okay, or international agreement that we are going to see here? Important international adaptation initiatives in order to control the climate change. And what are the programs they have started internationally to overcome this challenge? Because we should not avoid the irreversibility, we should not go to the irreversibility condition. We are at the threshold very close to the irreversible condition. So the vulnerability will be more and you will not able to regain back the things. Okay, that is why we are going for a mitigation as well as the adaptation strategy. So hope you understood the lecture which has been covered in the previously. I just excused and then give a input to you right now here. Coming to the why adaptation is urgent, freshwater resources are highly vulnerable to climate change impact such as droughts, floods, and water scarcity. Observational evidence and climate projection confirm growing risk to ecosystems and human well-being. Recognize this urgency, the global community has initiated multiple programs for adaptation. So the United Nations, I mean the UN, has come out with multiple programs in order to overcome these issues. These initiatives aim to strengthen scientific knowledge, develop strategies, and implement practical measures to safeguard these societies. The ultimate aim is to avoid the irreversible situation. Okay, so for which they have go for a strategies to improve the current scenario. Today, we explore the international adaptation programs, organizations, and their significance in climate governance. Role of international organizations. What are the roles? For example, IPC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, World Meteorological Organization, United States Nations Environment Program, UNEP, UNESCO is there, and United Nations Federation Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, are the examples of international organizations. International organizations act as knowledge providers, coordinators, and facilitators of adaptation. They will not come and work, they will help you to give you knowledge, they give you technology, they will fund you. These are the things they will do it. They help the governments design policies, share data, and promote cooperation across nations. So obviously, the government is supposed to come forward and share their meteorological data because the United Nations will not take care. So the input, whatever the government of particular country has given, based on that, they will try to reduce the impact and reduce the vulnerability and increase the adaptive capacity of that particular country to overcome the climate change. Their combined efforts provide a global framework for research negotiation and research allocation. Without such organization, adaptation strategies would remain fragmented and less effective. So why we need to go for this international organization? Without that, getting solve this problem is not easy. The adaptation strategy would remain fragmented, breaking down into small pieces and less effective. So to strengthen that adaptive capacity, the international organization comes into picture. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, founded in 1982 by WMO, World Meteorological Organization, and United Nations Environmental Protection, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change assesses the scientific knowledge on climate change. It evaluates environmental, social, and economic consequences of global warming. Report serves as global reference for policymakers, scientists, and industry leaders. Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change Assessments guide United Nations Federation Convention on Climate Change Negotiation and Kyoto Protocol mechanisms. Technical papers such as Climate Change and Water provide detailed insight into hydrological impact and adaptation strategies. World Meteorological Organization, co-founded by co-founded the IPC and plays a central role in climate monitoring. It launched World Climate Research Program WCRP World Climate Research Program in 1980s. World Climate Research Program Water is a sub-program focusing on hydrology and climate interaction. World Meteorological Organization ensures standardized data collection and global sharing of meteorological observation. This strengthens the scientific foundation for adaptation planning worldwide. Coming to the World Climate Research Organization research program, the World Climate Research Program is a major contributor to the climate science underpinning the IPC with a recent collaboration focusing on high impact events and tipping points. The WCRP World Climate Research Program conducts fundamental climate research to answer complex questions that are too large for any single country or discipline to solve. WCRP's World Climate Research Program development of coupled climate models and its research provides the scientific basis for the IPC climate change projection and assessments. So the key relationship, scientific foundation, the WCRP research and climate models provide the scientific groundwork for the IPC assessment. Information exchange, WCRP's scientists engage with IPC authors to ensure the World Climate Research Program efforts are aligned with the key scientific questions identified in IPC assessment, helping to guide future research strategies. Coming to the UNEP and UNESCO IHP, UNEP, co-founder of IPC, provides environmental governance and capacity building. UNESCO IHP advance hydrological research and integrate climate knowledge into water management. It projects as per 2.1 studies link between the climate change and water balance. By fostering education and international cooperation, UNESCO strengthened the long-term adaptation strategy capacities. This organization bridged the gap between science and sustainable policy making. So, what is the role of the international organization? Hope you get an idea. The UNFCCC, adapted in 1992, aims to stabilize the greenhouse gas levels. It emphasizes natural adaptation of ecosystem, food security, and sustainable growth. Adaptation under UNFCCC include technology transfer, capacity building, and financial support. So adaptation and UNFC include technology transfer. They will do the technology transfer, capacity building, and financial support. They'll do small island states highlight urgent need for adaptation financing due to high vulnerability. So they will take up which are the things which are very highly vulnerable. The adaptive capacity is very less. They will try to fund that particular thing to overcome the difficulties. The UNFCCC FCCC processes link adaptation efforts with the global climate negotiations. Coming to the Kyoto Protocol and CDM, CDM is a clean development mechanism. Kyoto Protocol required developing nations to cut the greenhouse gas emission. They introduced clean development mechanism to support the sustainable projects in developing countries. CDM, clean development mechanism, developed nations to meet emission target while funding the projects abroad. So the carbon footprint emission, the India has been targeting to reduce to zero emission in 2050, and China is little bit far earlier. Okay, so just go and see what are the resolution has been taken by the developing nation and developed nation to overcome these, to avoid the climate change. The portion of CDM, Clean Development Mechanism, proceeds support adaptation in vulnerable nations. This mechanism connects mitigation with adaptation finance, benefiting least developed regimes. The ICC technical paper, okay, 6.1, technical paper 6, it examined the climate impact on the hydrology. Just go and read the references book, IPC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, what they are talking about, how it examined the climate impact on hydrology, focuses on water availability, quality, and management under climate stress, consider vulnerabilities across regions and option for adaptation. developed in response to WCRP, World Climate Research Program. Okay, so on water and climate request, what is a WCRP by IPCC? I will explain to you. The World Climate Research Program is a scientific research organization. WCRP is a scientific research organization focused on Earth climate system, while the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is an intergovernmental body that assesses the climate science. WCRP provides crucial data on models such as those from its coupled model intercomparison project, which are then used by the IPC to produce its climate change assessment for policymakers. The two organizations, WCRP and IPC, collaborate on events such as 2025 workshop to address the high impact climate event and tipping points for the upcoming IPC AR7 report. World Climate Research Program established to address the frontier scientific questions about the coupled climate system, which are too complex for a single nation or discipline to tackle alone. The key activities developed coupled climate models that are essential for projecting future climate changes, particularly in response to greenhouse gas emissions. It also manages coupled model intercomparison project, which provides standardized climate data and simulation used in climate assessment. Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, a intergovernmental entity made up of UN and World Meteorological Organization member countries. The key activity of IPCC produces comprehensive assessment reports on the state of climate science for policymakers. These reports evaluate the impact, adaptation, and vulnerability of climate change, their relationship, WCRP and IPC. The WCRP climate models and data from the CMP project are foundational input for the IPC scientific assessment, providing the climate change projection used in the IPC report. So the joint events, WCPRP and IPC collaborate to organize workshops and events like the upcoming 2025 workshop on high impact events and tipping points to advance scientific understanding and directly inform the IPC assessment process. So hope you understood the interconnection between the WCRP and IPCC, what they are doing for. Okay, so the key reference for policy makers integrating water and climate adaptation policies. Integrated Water Resources Management IWRM is a framework for balancing water needs across sectors, originated in the year 1992 at Dublin Conference, emphasizing four key principles: the integrated water resource management. Water is a finite resource. Participation of all stakeholders is essential. Women play a central role in water management. Water is as economic value. IWRM links adaptation with sustainable socio-economic development. Coming to the FRIEND project, the flow regime from international experimental and network data began in 1985, analysis regional hydrological regimes and variability. So what are the different types of projects which are taken care of international organization? That's what we are seeing now. Manages the European Water Archive for river flow and catchment data, expanded to Africa and the Mediterranean region with a special focus on the Nile Basin, helps improve hydrological modeling and support adaptation planning. And Apex Sagal, the hydrological atmospheric pilot experiment was conducted in the Sagal descent to study the land atmosphere interaction in semi arid regions. Okay, preceded by FSAT Niger, another rainfall monitoring initiative. Its open access data sets are essential for building accurate climate simulations. So, because of the international organizations, many projects were carried out, okay, in order to reduce the vulnerability or overcome and try to predict the things, okay, and try to reduce the impact. The Global Energy and Water Cycle Experiment studies soil atmosphere vegetation exchange, enhances understanding of hydrological and atmospheric coupling. Continental Scale International Project GCIP applies these studies regionally. Example, MAC is in GVEX study focus on cold regions, snow ice process, and permafrost support global hydrological models that improve adaptation strategies. Amazon basin studies. Okay, I don't want to get into each and every studies. Just go and explore the things. Okay, so what is the advantage of these studies? What they have come out with the mechanisms. Okay, so what are the things they have found it out? How they try to reduce the climate change. OICA's hydrological monitoring, World Hydrological Cycle observing system maintains observation network worldwide, addresses data gaps in developing countries by standardizing collection, ensures global accessibility of hydrological information, support yearly warning system for flood and drought, strengthen the resilience by providing reliable data for adaptation planning. So support yearly warning system for flood and drought is very important, right? So for example, the meteorological department will always will forecast the things, but at the same time is not, it need to be avoided. Okay, please try to understand forecasting and try to take preventive steps is another thing, but try to avoid why this is happening because of the if it is because of the anthropogenic activities, we need to stop it, this type of flooding, otherwise it will go to the irreversibility situation. Biodiversity and Adaptation (CBD), the Convention on Biological Diversity, links ecosystem protection with adaptation. India ratified the CBD in 1994 and introduced the Biological Diversity Bill, developed a national biodiversity strategy and action plan. Objectives include ecological security and livelihood protection. Biodiversity conservation supports natural adaptive capacity in ecosystem. UNCCD, the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, addresses land degradation and drought. India became a party in 1994 and runs programs like Desert Development Program, Drought Prone Area Program. India also leads the thematic program on agroforestry management in Asia. By restoring degraded lands, UNCCD contribute directly to climate adaptation. AAC program was conducted. Okay, assessment of impact and adaptation to climate change program is global. Support regional research on vulnerability and adaptation strategies, build scientific capacity in developing nations to respond to the climate threat, output help inform global and regional adaptation policies. So India's NatCom project, very important project, is supported by GEF and UNDP. NatCom communication. The NatCom and is supported by GF. What is NatCom? NatCom is a national communication, refers to national reports on climate change. And in India's context, NatCom 2 project was a UN framework convention on climate change commitment. Under this initiative, United Nations Development Programme served as a global environmental facility, implementing agency, and the Indian Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change was the nodal agency for implementation with the project funded by GEF. The GEF is nothing but Global Environment Facility. NatCom, a national reporting process under the UNFCCC, where countries share their climate change information. UNDP, the United Nations Agency Development Program, that partners with the GEF Global Environment Facility to implement the projects in developing countries. The Global Environment Facility, a mutual multilateral fund that supports countries in addressing the environmental challenges and meeting international goals. So the GEF, a multilateral fund that supports countries in addressing the environmental challenges and meeting international goals. The relationship, the UNDP act as a GEF implementing agency to support countries in their NatCom reporting, with the GEF providing the funding. Okay, so how they work together? Commitment. A country like India makes a commitment to the UNFCCC to prepare and submit national report. Funding. GEF recognizing the importance of these reports for a climate action, provide funding for these national communication projects. The UNDP serves as an implementing partner, using its expertise to help that host country like India develop and submit its NatCom national coordination. The host country's Ministry of Environment oversees the project implementation, often with oversight from a national steering committee. This partnership helps countries fulfill their international environmental obligations, come from UNFCCC, and strengthen their capacity to address the climate change and protect the global environment. Hope you understood the initiatives by UNFCCC, challenges facing adaptation initiatives, persistent uncertainties in climate projection and hydrological models, data scarcity, especially in Africa and other developing regions, lack of coordination across nations, reduced comparability of studies, limited focus on extreme events like flood and droughts, sustained international funding remains a major challenge for a long-term adaptation. So challenges facing adaptation initiatives. Conclusion, the way forward. The international initiatives are very important in assessing the risk and implementation adaptation. Progress has been made in capacity building, monitoring, and global cooperation. However, stronger data, improved models, and better funding mechanisms are still required. Integration of adaptation into development and governance system is essential. A collaborative global approach remains the best strategy for building the resilience against climate change. So, what we understood from this, what is the role of the United Nations FCC, United Nations Federation Convention on Climate Change, their role, what are the funding agencies, how they identify the most vulnerable situation, what are the program initiatives they have taken, what is the role of the host country to give the data to the United Nations in program, environmental program. Okay, so that this all is interconnected in order to address the climate change in a sustainable way. Okay, with this note, I conclude the third unit. Okay, so hope you understood the importance of the United Nations, okay, world nations to overcome these challenges. So with this note, I stop it. We have all your the date has been already announced for your FAT2 in the last uh, blended learning coordinators meeting, which I already shared in WhatsApp group. Okay, the syllabus for your FAT 2 is unit 3, 4, and 5. So please try to start to prepare now itself and try to answer the MCQs which has been embedded in the videos. Okay, that will have a weightage of 10 marks and assignment need to be submitted on time. The assignment weightage is 40 marks, so total will be considered 50 and FAT marks is 50. You know the weightage, okay, how the internal marks will be calculated. Okay, please give attention to all this assessment. Okay, and don't prolong the things deadline until the deadline to submit your assignment and so on and so forth. Okay, so what I am trying to say is that in the last assignment was submitted very late. Okay, so I don't want the same to be repeated in the FAT 2 assessment as well. Okay, so with this note, I conclude the section. Thank you for your listening. We will see in next class in face-to-face section on Thursday. During this section, if you have any doubt, please clarify. You could be able to clarify your doubts in during face-to-face section. Thank you for your attention. See you in next lecture.